Hey, beloveds. I'm Tanya Melendez, your favorite Black psychic librarian, and this is part 3 of my conversation about Miss Cleo, about witchlature, and about the new surge of brujeria, witchcraft, and so much more. So I want to share with you. So now it's been a few weeks. I've watched the Miss Cleo special. I watched all of them witches. I've watched the first season of Discovery of Witches, and now I'm watching the Mayfair Witches as well. And the reason I'm bringing this up and how this connects to Miss Cleo and so much, a few things. First off, I want to say, I'm so grateful for the surgence of witchlature, which is witch literature. It's everywhere. It's in YA books, it's in adult books, as you can see, the TV shows now, movies. Now more and more people are talking about witches and witchcraft like it's the, normal thing. Everybody knows tarot now. Everybody can do tarot. Everyone's doing crystals and so much more. But the reason I'm bringing this up now is also because the launch of my podcast, I'm Not Crazy, I'm Clairvoyant, drops tomorrow, and we dive into this. But let me start with where I wanted to begin. So the first thing I noticed about both Discovery of Witches and the Mayfair Witches, as well as even Coven, the you know the amazing American Horror Story that so many of us loved and watched. I know I watched it multiple times because I love the portrayal that they shared of Madame Marie Laveau. Is that all of the white witches always seem to have a family that comes from money. They can seem to be disoriented or feel like they're going a little crazy. But, it's okay because once they discover their gift, it's all right. Whereas if we look at the other side with Coven, the black women always lived in, bad or gentrified neighborhoods that they call ghettos. Even in the movie Ghost, one of the biggest, well, not anymore, one of the biggest grossing, highest grossing movies in Hollywood, when Whoopi Goldberg's character was playing, was being a psychic, and her role, she was thought of immediately as a scammer. Even though she was really seeing and feeling this energy, she was thought of as a scammer, very much like my beloved Miss Cleo, because people connected her with money and misuse of money, which it actually wasn't her, Miss Cleo, it was the men who managed the psychic networks. They didn't get any problems. They didn't go down. Even their identities were hidden for a long time. Whereas Miss Cleo was seen as the scapegoat. The money was gone. She didn't even get a dime of it, right? And so there's this still juxtaposition. There's still this disparity between what's crazy for white women witches and what's crazy for black women healers. And that's why I'm Not Crazy, I'm Clairvoyant is so important to me, especially now because we are living in the spirit and the age of Aquarius. And this is the most spiritual year that we have had in a very long time. And numerology, this is a 7 year, and 7 is a spiritual number. We know this. 7 chakras, 7 days. Bashert is 7 years. And so we know this is a spiritual time, but this is also a highly intuitive time, which is why there's this surge of witchlature, right? But where are the black women? Where are the brown women? One of the shows that I watched and I was so excited about that came out was Always a Bruja. And it was around a young Brazilian girl, and it was Spanish mostly. Actually, the show was in Spanish. And I love that, and I love that it's supported. But where are the Sabrina shows where it's black witches? Even in movies like The Craft, the beautiful oh my gosh, I just lost her name. I can Rachel True. She was a sidekick friend, whereas the other girls had a stronger power, right? So where are the black women in the Sabrinas, in the Crafts, in all the books, right? And I know that there are, black and Latina and other women of color now writing more of these books. But this has only been a surge in the last few years. Whereas books like The Mayfair Witches, I read this book, I had this series over 20 years ago, I have to say. And all of them witches, a lot of the in the documentary, a lot of the what they showed was again around white witches. But there's a whole storyline, there's a whole timeline, in fact, of black and brown women doing this healing work continuously up until up until this time. However, it's always been demonized. You talk about voodoo, oh, people get scared. But voodoo is actually natural medicine, just like oh, I just lost it in my mind. Just like Wicca, right? Just like Viking magic, right? Just like any Celtic magic. Voodoo and hoodoo are just versions of the same thing. Just because it's black, it's been demonized. And these are the very topics that I'm going to be diving into in season 1, as well as throughout the podcast, because it's time. It's time that we normalize intuitive giftedness. It's time that we recognize that black girl magic is rooted in the African diaspora, but more than that, in our everyday. Living here in Mexico, I see natural magic all around me, candles lit all over the place, even on highways. There will be little boxes that are created for people to have a mini altar, to have candles burning, even on highways where somebody might have passed or something, but you will always see candles lit on the side of the highway, in doorways, pictures of the Virgin Mary all over the place. But where are we in mainstream society? Where are our practices? Where are our discussions? Where are our TV shows? Where are our, decks of cards and crystals and books, There's so many things that we are still being stigmatized about because they don't want us to know our true power. But guess what, beloveds? Now is our time. And this is why I'm so passionate about inspiring and empowering over 1 million women to amplify and multiply their intuitive power. Through the programs that I teach, through the podcast, through what I share on social media, all of it is always about amplifying and multiplying your intuitive power. Why? Because when we are intuitive, we are the most dangerous, because intuition is the highest level of our intelligence. Why do you think we're conditioned to think reasonable, to be logical? That's what we've been conditioned and indoctrinated to think. However, our intuition just needs the spark to get turned back on. And it is our time to rise, Queen, rise. It is time for our intuition to be our superpower. It is time for women like our ancestors, Miss Cleo, Miss Madame Marie Laveau, Tituba, Pamela Coleman Smith, the artist of the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, and so many other sisters, ancestors now, who have paved the way for us to be here right now. I'm on a mission to decolonize spirituality and tarot. And the new wave of witch literature will be including black and brown women. Watch, wait, it's coming. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation or this connection with me. I will be dropping even more. And please sign up, listen to the podcast, leave your reviews, and I can't wait to share more with you. And until next time, beloved, as above, so below. Amen, Amin, Ashe. And never forget, you're not crazy, you're clairvoyant.